Welcome back to the Lone Star Regional. I am here with Bryan from Art Deco Wristwatches, and he has an amazing collection to show us today. Bryan, why don't you take it away and tell us about these Elgin watches?
So all these Elgins date from the 1920s, the 1930s, all the way through the 1940s. Beginning around 1927, Elgin introduced a series of Art Deco design men's wristwatches and continued making that style of a watch really all the way through the 1940s. Before that, a lot of their watches were just simple round watches with not really any sort of adornments or geometric designs. But in 27, they came out with a whole line of watches that had engraved bezels and sharp edges and geometric designs engraved on the watches. And they were just responding to the general design trends of the 1920s that really kind of took off in 1925 with the Art Deco exposition in Paris.
Wow, that's really interesting. And you have a quite a few variety of Art Deco. Some of these I have not seen before. Bryan, could you tell us a little bit about some of these
Sure.
pieces and how uncommon they are?
So this is the oldest one I have in this group. This is a model E3. It came out in 1927. This one is solid gold. It's got the original box, and it's got some stylized floral designs, but we've got some engraved rectangles. We've got some other engraved lines on the side, very geometric design. And even though some of the designs are floral and could be considered Art Nouveau, they're very stylized. They're not very distinct. So they're very symmetrical along the edges and the top. This one also has its original buckle,
Oh, wow.
which has the same design engraved on it as the case of the watch.
That is a gorgeous watch.
This is a Legionnaire. Elgin named their watches in series, so they've named them after these kind of Legionnaire, Crusader, Campus, Senior, Home Run. They all gave them kind of catchy names to help them sell. And this is a Legionnaire model 408 from 1928 in green gold fill. And again, it's got these stylized Art Deco geometric designs on the bezel and on the sides of the case.
Wow.
This is a Campus model from about 1930 in chromium nickel. And again, we see the stylized kind of floral designs, but also, they're set in geometric shapes, rectangles and triangles. You see, in very sharp edges, angled and beveled bezels, and a mesh band, which was very popular at the time. This is a Crusader from the late 1930s. Very triple stepped case with sharp angles, almost looks like a skyscraper in a form of a watch. I'm gonna go back a little bit because I forgot this one. This is a model 213. This is solid white gold with Roman numerals set in blue enamel on the bezel.
And that's a very unusual piece.
It is. And about this time this watch came out, Elgin was having designers in Paris design his watches.
I've not seen one like that before, Bryan.
A lot of Elgin collectors call this the Cartier Elgin because it's very similar to the Cartier watches that were made during the 1920s, which were also designed in Paris and had enamel bezels just like the Elgin. The square tank Cartiers look just like this.
Wow.
So, being both designed in Paris, I'm sure Elgin's designers and Cartier's designers were very well aware of the work each one of them was doing there in Paris. This is a model from the late 1930s in solid pink gold and yellow gold with a diamond dial.
Oh, wow.
Again, a very thin, stepped, tall watch, going again with the skyscraper Art Deco theme, but in a wristwatch instead of a building.
That is really cool.
And this is the youngest of the group. This watch was made about 1941. It's the Lord Elgin model 4602. Got these nodules or ribbed design on the bezel, which carried over into the pink gold bracelet. Wow. And black dial with exploding Roman numerals.
Very interesting design.
This design is, again, mid-1930s. It's another stepped case, and it has a very Art Deco stepped and ribbed metal bracelet to go with it.
Beautiful, beautiful watch. Bryan, you have a business called Art Deco Wristwatches.
Correct.
And where can people look at maybe some watches that you would have for sale, or maybe just some general information?
Sure. ArtDecoWristwatches.com is my website, and on Instagram, I'm Art Deco Wristwatches.
Okay.
So I usually post watches on the Instagram. I like to do 3 or 4 a week, and I usually put a little information about each watch.
Okay.
And on my website, for the watches that are for sale, I usually do a paragraph or 2 about each watch that's for sale.
Okay.
Whatever I know about it,
yeah,
when it was made, how much it cost, how long it was made. If I know how many were made, I'll put how rare it is, things like that. Use it with lots of pictures from different angles so people can see how beautiful they are.
That's really good. And so you can find a lot of great information at artdecowristwatches.com. And also be sure to follow Bryan on Instagram at Art Deco Wristwatches. And Bryan, I want to thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you for featuring me.
I've blown away by the collection that you've shown me today. So thank you.
Thanks again.